Hey folks, my name is Austin Nichols and I'm a product leader based in the Midwest, and on this channel we talk about tools, strategies, and concepts that help us be the best product people that we can be. Let's dig in. Today we're going to talk about leverage. And no, I'm not talking about getting dirt on your business or corporate opponent. I'm talking about maximizing impact while minimizing input. Leverage is all about creating things, tools, relationships that help you get the most out of what you're doing. Eric Jorgensen's Twitter is a masterclass in the concept of leverage, but he says this in his intro thread about leverage. Levers are force multipliers. This is how someone can accomplish 10, 100x, or 1 millionx what others can. Leverage can multiply outcomes from your effort, your skill, and your judgment. So that's what we're talking about when we talk about the concept, the mental model of leverage. But why does it matter for a product manager? Well, when I ask the question, what does a day in the life look like for an average product manager? I often hear things back like hectic, frazzled, putting out fires, running from meeting to meeting. Product management is a hard job. On any given day, we could be working with marketing and sales to understand the threat of our biggest competitor's new product launch, dealing with a stakeholder's very important request of the week, and generally jumping from meeting to meeting with different folks, switching all day long. Amidst all that, it's hard to find time for the most important parts of the job: strategy, being with your customers, and generally deep thinking. Enter leverage. Employing leverage in your daily life as a product manager can increase your impact and ultimately help you be a happier, healthier product manager. So let's talk about it. Let's dive in. There are 4 types of leverage that I want to talk about today. The first is communication leverage. How do we stay capital A aligned in an ever-changing landscape? How do we educate, inspire, and influence at scale without it becoming our full-time job? First, you got to level up your documentation game. Now, this shouldn't be a hard sell for most product managers. We all love a good Google Doc or two, right? But I'm not talking about a 10-page strategy magnum opus that no one reads. Mastering clear and concise communication is a way to kill meetings and redundancies. There's tons of ways to get better at writing. One of my favorite is On Writing Well. This is a great book that I go back to time and time again to make sure that my communication is up to snuff. A way to go deeper here is actually to look at modular writing. Writing really valuable pieces of content once and then finding everywhere you can reuse it. So for example, from that strategy doc that you've written, that you've invested in, take a key piece of it that describes the user opportunity or user problem and drop that into Jira in your Epic, right? You don't need to rewrite that from scratch. Second piece here is to pivot to video like you're a BuzzFeed employee in 2017. Do you need to do some internal dogfooding on a new feature? Instead of scheduling 10, 30-minute sessions with people from support and sales, try recording a video of the feature and sending the video to those people with a short survey. What about that wild idea that you're not quite ready to put into a structured document? You might say, let's hop on a quick call and hash this out. Well, instead, record a video, brainstorming, kind of brain dumping verbally, and send it out for asynchronous discussion and feedback. Loom is an absolute game changer here, and it's a free tool that you can download today. I'll leave a link in the description. And the final point here on communication leverage is make scheduling easy. This one is super simple, but super magical. If you haven't heard of Calendly yet, I'm about to introduce it to you, and I'm happy to do so, but it's a free tool that you can sign up for that essentially can hook up to your availability. You can send that link out and people can grab 30 minutes of your time. And essentially you will never have to do the dance of emailing back and forth and saying what open times work for you. Time is money, and this is free. All right, the second big theme we're gonna talk about is discovery leverage. Now, product discovery, especially when well done in a continuous manner, is time consuming, right? It takes a lot of time for your team if you're a product leader or if you yourself are a frontline product manager, but it's time well spent. So how can we make that as leveraged and most efficient as possible? Well, the first big one here, and this is a little meta, but think of your strategy and vision as the ultimate leverage tool that you have in your tool belt as a product person. Without a good outcome-based strategy, you're gonna spend countless hours trying to make sure your team is rowing in the right direction, answering questions about why we're doing this or why we're doing that. It's just not a productive way to work, and frankly, it's not a very energizing way to work for your product. If you don't have a good strategy, you are the opposite of leveraged. But let's get into the weeds a little bit more. What else can we do to kind of speed up discovery? Well, you find users like a recruiter.
But what I do have are a very particular set of skills. I will look for you. I will find you.
Finding folks to talk to get that continuous user interview and continuous discovery is a lot of work, to be frank. Here's a couple of tips to make this process easier. First, use that Calendly link that we just talked about. It's gonna make it much easier for you to find a time to chat with users. Second, you're gonna wanna build a set of reference customers. This is a Marty Kagan concept where essentially you're finding customers that you can trust, that are representative of your user base, and that you can go back to time and time again. And finally here, master note-taking to build a second brain. High quality notes are a treasure trove of leverage if you use them. This is true for team meetings, stakeholder calls, and especially user interviews. Having an actual system in place to leverage those notes is the important part here. I'm a really big fan of tools like Roam, Notion, and the Second Brain framework, which I'll leave a link in the description to learn more about. These are tools that make it easy to have aha moments where you can essentially say, this customer is talking about feature X. Didn't we talk to somebody about that 3 weeks ago and they brought up a really similar insight? Let me search that keyword here, and all of a sudden I can see all the connections across the user interviews that I've been doing continuously over the last few months. Next, let's talk about building with leverage. Now, product managers can use leverage in their own daily lives, but they should also be on the lookout for how it can help their teams around them. The first, advocate for design systems. Now, design systems are all the rage on design Twitter and in the industry, but for good reason, right? We don't want to be spending a bunch of time arguing about the color or position of a button or a font when we can have great established unified design principles that help our teams move fast and focus on the problems and puzzles of product development that are actually challenging and interesting and matter to our customers. Second here, heed the calls for APIs and automation. Now, designers have design systems, but engineers are the kings and queens of leverage and automation. This could look like building a feature in a way where it can be reused in multiple places in your product. You might have to spend a little bit more time now extending a story or a sprint by a little bit, but ultimately saving you weeks and months of work down the line. It could also look like investing in something that's not a fancy new feature that's going to deliver a ton of user value outwardly, but something like a support tool that can take an interaction that might have taken, let's say, an hour to solve down to minutes. And that is incredibly valuable and leveraged work that our engineering team is constantly thinking about. Finally here, figure out the sweet spot of just enough process. You can partner with your engineering lead or delivery manager to figure out the team rhythms that make sense around design reviews and work in progress limits. If it's process for process sake, throw it out. If it's process that actually helps our team move faster and be healthier as a team and happier, I'm all for it. Cheer it on. We're gonna talk about relational leverage. But we have to be careful here. Obviously, people are inherently valuable, not just because they help you move more efficiently. Essentially, don't be an asshole. But the beauty of real relational capital is that it's a virtuous flywheel. If you are investing in others, really truly caring about and understanding their needs and their perspectives, they're likely to do the same for you in the long run. Having a pal or confidant in sales, support, marketing, other product teams can be an invaluable resource to helping you get things done and influence across the organization. You might be saying, Austin, this is great. I want to go build leverage everywhere. How do I know when to build leverage? It's really tempting to try and over-automate and overbuild this process. Instead, simply ask, what's taking up most of my time on a weekly basis? My personal equation is complexity plus regularity equals an opportunity for leverage. The other framework is to think about the things that will have the biggest impact and reach. If I invest in this, is it gonna save me some time? Is it gonna generate me a little bit of value? I might think about how I can build a system around that. But if I invest in this thing, they're going to save the organization and my product team a bunch of time and provide a bunch of continuous value after that initial investment. Well, you're damn sure I should be thinking about prioritizing that. So that's leverage. I'm really curious, what other types of leverage do you use as a product person? Does it fit into the categories I talked about above, or is it something completely different? I'd love to see examples of this, so either leave a comment down below or discuss it in the Twitter thread that I'll link. Thanks for watching today, and if this type of mental model thinking in terms of product was interesting to you, you should definitely check out my last video, which is an overview of 5 mental models that can help us be better product managers. But that's it today. I'll see you next time.